Okay, so here we are with another Masters of the Universe Masterverse unboxing, and this is Sorceress Teela, but we've already opened up a Sorceress Teela, but this is a completely different Sorceress Teela. This is the one from Masters of the Universe Revolution, and we can see that she looks like the Green Goddess. Now, I pulled out some figures to compare her to, but unfortunately, one of the ones that I was not able to grab would have been the classics version of the goddess. But I've just got so much stuff to dig through to try to find her. But I did pull out. Usually, I keep her on top of my castle Grayskull. Actually, there's the Origins version of the Eternia goddess, who, like most figures is of the goddess, is a repaint of Teela. Obviously, what else are you gonna do to make the goddess? And I got a couple of other Teela and Sorceress figures to compare this to. There is a bio on the back, little brief bio, nice picture of the figure, and it reads: Sorceress Teela, the wise dragon Granomir, found Teela worthy of the power of Ka, transforming her with ancient power to aid in her quest to rebuild pre-Eternia. So, the staff that she has, the snake staff, obviously is an homage to the snake staff that came with the original Teela figure, which we can see reproduced with the Green Goddess figure from Origins. And that staff in I believe it was like a British children's book was named Ka. Hey, there's Aunt June. Hi, Aunt June. Welcome to the show. Good to see you. Merry Christmas. It's not too far away. It's like we got less than 5 days until Christmas now. How about that? But yeah. So the the character of the sorceress has a kind of an interesting history in that when they were first designing the first wave of figures, there was going to be a second female character that was going to be called the sorceress, and she was designed to have a snake-like armor, and the actual Teela figure was designed to be more of a warrior figure. Yeah, look kind of like her initial design that we saw in the Revelation cartoon. That's pretty much what the original Teela figure looked like. Not too dissimilar from that. And at some point, it was decided early on. Uh, well, it was fairly late in terms of like designing the first wave, but it was decided that like maybe they shouldn't have two female characters. Maybe they should only have one because they weren't really sure how well the female character was going to sell. They didn't have a whole lot of faith that like a girl character was going to sell too well in a boys action figure line. So the decision was made to only have Teela and not the sorceress. However, the sorceress's accessories were given to the Teela figure, so you could put them onto Teela and pretend it was the sorceress character. So she was like a 2-for-1 as far as that goes. So you could put the snake armor onto the Teela figure and pretend it was the goddess, or you could use her without the armor and pretend that it was Teela. And of course, in the mini comic, she was colored green because the original version of the sorceress was going to be colored green, but only in the first mini comic. In the later mini comics, they changed her to just having regular Caucasian color skin. But I guess Teela must have sold pretty well because they did decide to have more female characters in the line later. So we got Evelyn and we got the sorceress, like the filmation style bird type sorceress. We got her much later on, a little too later on for my liking. I would have liked that her much earlier in the line. I was mostly outgrowing He-Man by the point that that character came out, unfortunately. So I can't find what I did with my X-Acto knife. The most fun game that we play on this show is what did I do with my X-Acto knife? But I'm gonna need it to open this up, aren't I? see one in this little bin. You know what? I bought a new X-Acto knife the other day. So we'll have a bonus unboxing on this unboxing show. We'll open up the new X-Acto knife that I bought, and because honestly, like my old X-Acto knife, like I keep talking about how the blade needs to be changed, and I figured, well, I'm gonna buy some new blades. I'll just buy a new X-Acto knife. But there we go. All right, so now we got our new X-Acto knife. There is some lovely artwork on this box. There's Teela casting a spell. So this is not the goddess or the sorceress, whatever you want to call. I usually call this character the goddess now because they actually have separated the original sorceress from the bird-like sorceress. So they usually just call her the goddess in the comics, in the mini comics. But the classics figure was called the Green Goddess, and the Origins figure, again, this one was called, her official name is Eternian Goddess. So I guess I didn't want to get her mixed up with the salad dressing. So anyway, let's go ahead and get her opened up. I'm really excited about this one. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the Green Goddess character, but this is not supposed to be that character, although it is obviously a visual reference to that. So when Teela gets her power, I guess she kind of takes the visual appearance of the goddess. So there should be some extra accessories in here, I think. Yep. We'll get to those in a second. That looks like some power blasts, some extra hands, things like that. And of course, her main accessory is going to be the Staff of Ka. And there it is. And we can see it's got the cobra head on it, and it's got that kind of slightly curved shape to the staff, again, to help with the whole snake-like appearance. And then Teela is held into the package with some twist ties, and they taped the fabric skirt thing into the package, and that's going to get really annoying because it's just taped straight to the package. So I'm going to have to try to cut the tape without cutting the fabric and without cutting the package itself, because I don't want to just take off a chunk of the package. I want to get this free from the package. There we go. But it's got that tape on it, and that means that it's probably going to leave a residue on there at some point. And I got to try to pull the tape off without stretching the fabric out or damaging it. And it's such a little thin strip of fabric. So I'm really careful with it. All right. And then the fabric is now sticking to my finger because there's still, like I said, some residue of adhesive left on it. And you know that's just going to pick up dirt, and it's gonna look ugly after a while. If anybody from Mattel is watching this, please stop doing that. It's such a bad thing to do. I would rather just the fabric just be moving around loose in the package, and take a chance that it might get wrinkled or something. That's fine. I can smooth it out if it gets wrinkled, but there's no getting that adhesive out of the fabric. All right, so I think there's just like rubber tabs around her wrists and her ankles. So now we got her out. Let's see how long this skirt piece is. I think that this is a really cool design, how they did this skirt piece. Obviously, it's supposed to kind of remind us of a serpent's tail. So she's got like this long snake tail on her skirt, and it's kind of diaphanous, like on the cartoon. It's drawn kind of diaphanous like that, and it reminds me of like when a snake sheds its skin, kind of like that. Really cool. So, and then she's got it looks like they used the same shoulders from the previous Sorceress Teela, so that gives her like a scaly texture in this context. It was supposed to look like feathers, I think, on the shoulders of the previous Teela, but here it looks like scales, and it's got like some kind of like, you can see like just a few, probably because that's how they drew it on the cartoon, where there'd be like a few gold scales here and there. But I think we're supposed to, that's for the simplicity of the animation, obviously. But I think we're supposed to imagine that she has those gold scales all over this black top. So you can see that they gave this version of the goddess costume like a lot more unique qualities to it. It is not just a simple repaint of Teela into green. It is a completely unique sculpt. Although it does have, some elements that remind us of the original Teela, like the belt, for example. It looks a lot like the belt that the original Teela figure had. And then, of course, she's got this large snake headdress. And unlike the original Teela figure, we'll look at the Origins one to show us, where it pretty much just covers up the headdress, just kind of covers up the front part of her head. And we can see her hair in the back. This is like a full headdress that covers like all the back of her head and everything like that. Looking at it from the front, it looks very similar, where it's like, the cobra head over like the helmet part, over like the top of her head. And then the cobra hood coming down and covering like, the front of her chest and everything like that. So from the front, it looks pretty similar, but from the back, that's where you got the differences, where it actually covers up the whole back of her head. It's like, it really is like a full headdress. So anyway, let's have a look real quick at the accessories that come in this little paper envelope. And there is a blast effect, which we'll look at that in a little bit. And a couple of extra hands, it looks like. Let's see what our extra hands are. This one's caught in the creases of the paper. So it's two spellcasting hands, and to me they look identical, but obviously mirrored to each other. And we can see that they're that pale green color that the rest of her skin is, and then it's got like a little bit of a, I don't know if I'd really call it a glove, more like an extension of her sleeve that kind of almost has like a ring around it that slips over her finger. So let's set those aside for right now. The hands that are on the figure are gripping hands, but they got kind of like a loose grip to them. So, and I'm thinking, it looks to me like, yep, I think the staff is supposed to, the blast effect on the can either go around her hand or around the staff. So let's have a look at that real quick. And there is like a snake head that we can see. That's pretty cool. So we can put that blast effect on her hand, I think. Although it doesn't fit on there like incredibly tightly. It seems like it's a kind of a loose fit, but you can kind of balance it on there like that. And then, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to actually fit over the staff. Yeah, that's pretty cool, huh? And you could even kind of wrap the serpent's tail around the staff itself. I think that's how that's designed. So that's pretty cool. All right, so like I usually like to do with these sorceress figures, and I mean sorceress with a lowercase s, because that applies to Evil Lyn as well. I like to have the spell casting hand on there, and even if I have one spell casting hand on there, I can still usually get it into a pretty good two-handed pose. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention when I was pointing it out is she actually does have her fingernails painted in, so she's got some red fingernails, and she's got her fingernails do not match her toenails, because she is a barefoot figure. This is a figure Quentin Tarantino would approve of. But she did not paint her toenails to match her fingernails. Her fingernails are red, and her toenails are black. And then she's got this kind of like I don't even know what you call that, like an anklet or something, like an ankle band. I don't know. She's got like like these things around her ankles. No shoes, but she's got things around her ankles. And then she has a long sleeve shirt, like I pointed out before, with the scales on it. A long sleeve shirt that's got like the she's got like it's like a skin tight long sleeve shirt. It's very glossy, not matte like you would expect it to be matte black. But this is an entirely original torso, I think, because I think everything's like sculpted into like the abdomen and the pelvis and everything like that. She does not have a belly button. I'm pretty sure you would be able to see her belly button in this, but she does not have a belly button. Maybe that's because she's a snake, and snakes don't have belly buttons. Hi, Sean Franklin. Welcome to the show. We were talking about you were saying you'd seen Wicked last week. Well, now I have a green character. but this is not Elphaba. This is Teela. So I really like this design. Obviously, it did take some liberties from the original design of the sorceress that we saw, or the goddess, or whatever you want to call her, that we saw in that mini comic, where she was pretty much just a repainted Teela. But that's fine. I'm fine with that. Might as well do something unique if we're gonna make like a brand new figure of her. So let's go ahead and put the staff in her hand and see what she looks like while she's holding the staff. And there we go. She looks pretty cool holding that staff. And we might as well put the blast effect back on there. Now that we've seen what she looks like with the staff, we can see what she looks like with the staff with the blast effect on it. And like I was talking about, even with the open spellcasting hand, I could still use that and get a pretty good two-handed grip out of it. Like, she holds it well enough with that open hand that it still looks pretty cool, I think. So yeah, I really like this design. Like well, let's compare it to some of the other Teela figures that I have. So I do not have the main, I guess you'd call it, the main Revelation figure where she was wearing like the she had the side of her head shaved and all that. But here she is with the original design of Teela, the kind of filmation-y design. This is closer, of course, to what the original action figure looked like, but they did take some liberties. Like, she has a skirt, and it does cover up a little bit more of her chest. It seems like they were trying to, like, how people are like kind of like sensitive about the male gaze these days. Well, they went in the opposite direction with this version. This version is like, yeah, let's show more skin. Let's have her with no shoes because Quentin Tarantino would like it. And then, of course, later on in the series, when Teela becomes the sorceress, and she's got her mother's bird staff, and this is a more like bird-like sorceress, like the original one was. And then after she got the staff of Ka, it was more into like the snake part of it. So Teela does have connections with the Snake Men because she does have snake power to her. That goes kind of back to the original line, and the 2000X version was gonna deal with that some also. But yeah, she's a pretty impressive looking figure. I like that she's got like a darker lipstick, even though she's like a more sinister looking character. I think she's still supposed to be a heroic character in this iteration. So, but that goes back again with the original design of the sorceress that was going to be in that first wave, but got bumped and wound up being replaced by Zodak. Zodak was like a last minute design that was kind of thrown together. But yeah, that original design of the sorceress, when Mark Taylor came up with her, she was supposed to be, I guess this part wound up getting wrapped into the character of Zodak. She was supposed to be kind of more like a neutral character that could be a good guy or could be a bad guy. And in the mini comics, she was more portrayed as being like solidly a good guy. But they did eventually introduce Evil Lynn, who was an evil female character. So they had their bases covered as far as that goes. So anyway, let's go ahead and talk about articulation since we haven't done that. So let's go ahead and have a look at that. So Teela can only look up about that far because she's got this big snake headdress that's holding her head from going up any further than that, and she can look down about that far. Again, snake headdress kind of is going to hinder her movement somewhat, but like that's about to be expected with something like that. She can kind of tilt her head quizzically from side to side, but again, snake headdress. The head does rotate all the way around, although the snake headdress, again, it's going to bump into her shoulders and whatnot. So just be prepared for that. Her arms rotate all the way around the shoulders, but these joints are really stiff, so they're going to take some loosening up. And it looks like her arms raise up at the sides about that far. So a pretty good range of motion at the sides of the arms. No butterfly joint, but she does have a bicep swivel, so the bicep rotates all the way around. She's got double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. She's got a single joint of articulation at the wrist that rotates all the way around, and then a hinge on the right hand that moves back and forth, and a hinge on the left hand that moves back and forth. Both of those are horizontal hinges. So Teela has a single joint of articulation right underneath her rib cage, and it's a ball joint articulation, so we can move that around any which way we want to. It does rotate all the way around, and kind of you can tilt it from side to side, front to back, all that kind of stuff. No waist articulation on this figure. The only articulation on the torso is going to be up here under the rib cage, so you can't turn her waist. It's all one solid waist, and it is two pieces, but I think that it's just two pieces so that they can fit the skirt in there. So that's why it's glued solid like that. Obviously, you don't want to have an articulation where you have that piece of fabric. It is really cool. I do really like this long skirt. So Teela can kick up about, well, that's really stiff. It's a ball jointed waist, or I'm sorry, ball jointed hips, but it's just so tight that it's having a hard time moving. So I'll have to loosen that up later on with a hairdryer. We'll do that with the other leg. The other leg works fine. Teela can kick up about that far, so a little bit further than 90 degrees. Pretty decent range of motion there. She does have thigh cut, so the thigh rotates all the way around. She does have double jointed knees. That is about the range of articulation you get at the knees. She does have a boot cut, even though she's not wearing any boots or any kind of footwear whatsoever, except for the ankle bands. I don't know what you call those. But you can still rotate her all the way around to the mid shin, I guess we'll call it. And then she's got an ankle articulation that, like, her ankle points down about that far, points up about that far, and it's got the rocker ankle. So the ankle rotates all the way around where the ankle meets the foot. And that is about the extent of the articulation that we get on Teela. So pretty good range of articulation. So if you're like me and you got a lot of fondness for the classic design of the Green Goddess, this is going to be a good figure for you. You're going to want this. You're going to definitely want to have this figure. If you're a fan of the Revolution cartoon, which I thought was pretty good, I enjoyed it. You're definitely going to want to watch that. You're definitely want to have this because she is the this design is very important as far as the the continuity of the show and everything like that. But I think there's enough to recommend it to people who are fans of the classic Masters of the Universe in general. If they're a fan of the Green Goddess, they'll want to have this figure. And even though it is technically supposed to be Teela, you could use it as the goddess as well. And it's an action figure. You can do whatever you want to with it. Like pretend she's whatever character you want to. It's all good, baby. So yeah, I think she looks pretty great. I'm pretty happy with her. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe. All the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about both this figure and the character of Teela in general, especially in terms of the Revelation and Revolution cartoons, since that is the version that this comes from. honestly, I thought her arc on the show was pretty interesting, and I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people were turned off by like the earlier episodes, and Teela was being a bit of a bitch in those earlier episodes, but it was an arc. She was supposed to grow, and I think that they did a good job with it once all was said and done. So, and I know a lot of people were upset about that show because it was, kind of a bait and switch at the beginning of it, because they had He-Man in there in the first episode, and then they kill him off, and he's dead for like a big chunk of the show, and then they kill him off again in the middle of the first season. So a lot of people were unhappy with that, and like a lot of people were unhappy with how Kevin Smith handled that, and the whole thing with Clownfish TV, where they kind of leaked that, and he said, "Oh no, they're lying," and that turned out that they weren't really. But it's like I still enjoyed the show for what it was. I think they just should have marketed that first season a little more differently, and then they wouldn't have had such a hard time with it. But I really like this design of Teela. I was really happy with this one, and the regular Sorceress design of Teela I thought was excellent, and of course the classic Teela. They did a pretty good job of translating that. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. I'll be back next time. I know what I'm going to open next time because I did get something else from Walmart recently, which was the 2-pack of Lieutenant Falcon and Quarrel, who is a character that's going to have a little bit of an interesting history that we can talk about. So more Night Force. And oh man, I've still got this guy down here, Wolf Spider. I gotta open up Wolf Spider, don't I? I never got around to opening that up, did I? Oh, he's under the big pile of stuff. Yeah, Wolf. So I'll open up those next week. It's probably a good thing that I forgot about Wolf Spider, because now I can open him with some other Night Force figures. So yeah, the first Night Force figure I would have opened on this show would have been that Shockwave. Oh well, that's pretty much it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye. There we go.